So inflation remains a big concern tonight for many, and there are new questions about how decisions being made by the Biden administration are impacting that issue both in the short term and the long term. So let's bring in tonight's Bream team panel to discuss. Kevin Walling, Democratic strategist and former Biden campaign surrogate, and Jason Riley, Fox News contributor and author of a brand new book, Maverick, a biography of Thomas Sowell. Having a little bit of technical trouble with Jason. We're going to keep working on that. So Kevin, welcome. We'll start with you. I want to play something the president.
Shannon, good to be with you.
I want to play something the president had to say today about where we are economically.
We've seen a good monthly report. The monthly core consumer price index is down by nearly 2/3 from its pace over the past 3 months. And when you take out the goods directly impacted by the pandemic, like cars and airplane tickets, and the monthly core consumer price index is less than 0.2%.
Okay, but Kevin, most Americans can't just take out the stuff they don't want to include in the calculation when he says things have impacted by COVID. I mean, we're talking about like food, gasoline, all that stuff. For them, prices are up 5.4% over last July. That's the reality, and that cannot be good news for the White House.
Yeah, Shannon, I think it's the nature of the economy rebounding out of the pandemic. We're seeing the fastest economic growth in 40 years, 4 million new jobs created in the last 6 months of the Biden administration. So this economy is revving back up. And of course, those price manipulations will occur based on supply chain management, based on access to goods. So I think that's a natural aspect as this economy revs back up. But I think, as the president said in that press conference, he's looking really heavily at the Fed in terms of what they're going to do with interest rates, responding to consumer needs in the coming weeks and months, and really reactive to the changing dynamics of the ground. But all indications are we're seeing a really strong rebound coming out of this pandemic.
Okay, so Jason, you wrote a piece in the Wall Street Journal yesterday, and you talked about the fact that your argument is that the government is making it easier for people not to go back to work. We have more job openings than we have people who say that they're unemployed, so the math doesn't seem to work. You point to, the eviction freeze, a pause on student loans, and the additional unemployment benefits that many states, most of them, are still paying to people. But this is what Congressman Hakeem Jeffries tweeted. He said approximately 1 million new jobs were created last month. The Biden economy is booming. Don't buy what the radical right is trying to sell. Doesn't sound like he would agree with what you put in that piece.
Well, he's right that we have the job openings. The problem is that people aren't filling them. And the reason, as you just pointed out, is that we've made it easier for people to remain unemployed. If you tell people, you won't be evicted if you don't pay your rent, you don't have to pay down your student debt. We might cancel your student debt, in fact. If you're going to send people hundreds of dollars a month in cash benefits from the government in the form of tax credits, you're giving people an incentive not to return to the labor force. And that's the problem. And the focus here has been on expanding the safety net, expanding the welfare state, and that has come at the expense of incentivizing people to return to the workforce. And we had more job openings than we had people to fill them before. We had this early on in the Trump years. But what President Trump was doing was focusing on growing the economy and getting businesses to hire. And the focus on that, instead of on expanding the safety net, worked, because what we saw happening under Trump was that the long-term unemployed returned to the labor force, particularly low-income minority groups. People who had traditionally been left out of recoveries were returning to the labor force, and their wages were rising faster than upper-income people. So when you focus on growing the economy, that's what happens. But that is not what the Biden administration has been focused on.
Okay, I want to give you guys a chance. Yell it out if either one of you know who said this. Given the current state of the economic recovery, it is simply irresponsible to continue spending at levels more suited to respond to a Great Depression or Great Recession, not an economy that is on the verge of overheating. Anyone?
Let's see, maybe
Obama.
Speaker Pelosi?
That was Joe Manchin today, Senator Joe Manchin. A quick comment to close from both of you as the Senate and the House are looking at trillions more in spending. Quick comment from you, Kevin, then Jason, close us out.
Yeah, to Jason's point, listen, we're seeing, again, the greatest economic growth in 40 years. So clearly the Biden economy is working for the American people. We just need to make sure we're getting jobs to the people that need them. But again, the key thing with this budget reconciliation package is childcare, is transportation infrastructure in terms of getting folks to the jobs and making sure their children have proper child coverage. That's a key thing to spur this economy and get more people back to work.
Gotta get Jason in before we get cut off.
We need more growth, not more handouts from the government. And to the extent that we get more handouts, we're going to get more people staying at home instead of returning to the labor force. And that's not what we need.
Jason and Kevin, thank you both.
Thanks, Shannon. Good to be with you.
Great to have you.